So we're doing math 321 today. For now, this hour. And go back a few pages here, Jones. You don't need that many. There we are. And we're going to start reviewing for chapter 3. You know what? I'm going to just start switching to the day that I get. This is the third week, second day, so it's got to be day 6. It's probably day 4 of actual lecturing, but I think this is fucking easier to do. I'm always constantly asking. So we're going to start chapter 3, support. So one of the topics we're going to talk about today is exponents. So why do we use exponents? Well, this is a little unrelated, but like 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. This is a pain in the ass to add up one at a time. We in mathematics came up with a way to deal with that. It's called multiplication. There were 7 3s, and so we learned how to do multiplication. We memorized timetables, and it made up adding some number repeatedly faster. So addition is repeated multiplication. Exponents are repeated. I said that backwards. Multiplication is repeated addition. Scrub. Exponents are repeated multiplication. Rather than writing 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that's a lot of time to write that shit out. What we do is we count the number of 3s. There are 7 3s here. So we write this as 3 with a 7 above it. This here is called the exponent, and it's the number of repetitions. The number on the bottom is the base. A lot of calculators have a way of doing this. Some of them you'll see, you will see y with an x like this. So these are on calculators. Mine has this symbol. It's the caret. So if I want to do exponents in my calculator, I need to do 3 caret 7. There we go. Shows it a little bit. 3 caret 7. Well, not really. Now you can see it. 3 caret 7, and I hit equal, and it gives me 2,187. Fuck off. There's just no pleasing it. I'll just have to keep moving around. And when we write this 3 with the 7 up there, We pronounce it as 3 to the 7th power. That's how it's read. Spit it out, Melinda.
So when we're doing like the assignments, right? We should be writing it, it should be, it's gonna take 3 to the 7th, right? Or we write 3 to the 7th.
It will tell you if they want the exponent version or the actual answer.
Okay, if they ask for exponent, then that's when we put the 3 to the 7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, on Desmos, not Desmos, on MathLab, if you click on the toolbar down below, they'll have something that looks like this.
Oh,
This is on MathLab.
Okay.
And so you're filling in the 3 and the 7.
Okay.
If you don't want to click on that to do it, you can actually do 3-7. That is Shift 6 on a PC. I hope it's the same on a fucking Mac. Because if it's not the same on the Mac,
well,
hold down the Shift key and hit 6.
oh,
It's supposed to, the keyboard should be international. It shouldn't matter which computer you're using. Apple did its own fucking thing with the command line rather than using what PCs were doing before it because they wanted to be special. Which sucks. That flickered. That's just discouraging. All right, so there's a couple times where we don't say that. Like if we have something to the 2nd power, we don't say to the 2nd power, we say x squared. And the same thing with to the 3rd power, we say x cubed. This is related to the area of a square and a cube. Area of a square, if we have s's on all sides, is s times s, or s squared. The volume of a cube we have, that's a pretty good cube. We got s that way, and s that way. The volume of a cube is s times s, which is s to the 3rd power. And so the volume of a cube, we call it cubed. Volume of square, we say 2nd power is squared. It comes from squares. It comes from shapes. There is a difference between, and I'll put it on the next page when you guys are ready. Anybody still writing? You don't say something, I'm turning the page. Okay, so it's worth taking a note that if we have -4 to the 3rd power, this is -4 times -4 times -4. And this ends up giving us, we count the negatives, there's 1, 2, 3 negatives. An odd number of negatives is a negative outcome. And an even number of negatives is a positive outcome. And I think we talked about that before. But this does have a connection to this. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And the negative makes it negative because there's 3 of them. Odd number of negatives. This also means when we have something negative raised to like an n power, this also applies to that n. If n is odd, or n is even. The exponent, if it's an odd exponent and you start off with a negative number on the inside, you're going to have a positive number. Wait. I don't know what I said out loud. I don't know if that's correct. So if negative x and we have an odd, the answer is going to be negative x to that whatever power it is. And if it was negative x and there was an even number up here, it's definitely going to be positive x to whatever that power was. It's worth noting and recalling that -4 like this squared, we just talked about this. We can do it times this. There's two negatives, it makes it positive. 4 times 4 is 16. But -4 squared like that means -4 times 4. Only the number gets squared in that case, and this ends up being -16. So the parentheses matter. Michaela?
Are we gonna have any tests in this class?
No,
Like midterms or quizzes?
nope. Poor Melinda.
So whatever's just in. Math lab.
Yeah,
Let's say we don't do it, I'm just, nobody's done. Math lab, we just go pass this class.
if you don't do any of your homework in your math lab, you're guaranteed to fail this class.
What if we
There is
do it and
no-
do the best, but we do, but we. That's okay.
I need a lot. What do you mean by that?
Like,
Like if you're not good at math.
yeah, like.
I'm horrible at math. This is like my second time taking.
Okay, so you gotta keep trying, you gotta ask fucking teacher questions. There is a fucking ask my instructor right in the fucking program. I don't get hardly any emails from you guys, so I assume you're going through the homework without fucking problem. I cannot help, my job is to help make sure you learn this. If you don't fucking say, I'm not getting this, I can't, I'm not fucking psychic. Send me questions. I'm actually gonna do something on Monday morning from 8 to 10 for people.
Haven't even started the homework. I was gonna start the test this weekend and just,
What, you haven't started any of it, like chapter 1?
not for support, the other class, yes. You told me, you said, didn't you say do not take the, I'm confused, because you.
I said, don't do the chapter 3 support. And don't start the chapter 2 homework until like we go through the chapter 2 stuff in class. I said on the support stuff, there is a little quiz. You do the quiz first.
Yeah.
And the quiz is the one that auto fills in the rest, depending on how well you get
That's
it.
what I'm gonna do this weekend, it's for that.
Okay,
If we start the quiz, we don't necessarily have to finish. all
oh
the-
yeah, if you don't finish, everything you didn't do, it's fucking assuming you didn't know how to do. Do it in one run.
The 50 questions in one run.
Yes. I did it in fucking 15 minutes.
Can you do it? for me?
No. It might take you a couple hours, but
Okay,
homework is not supposed to fucking take you 6 minutes. This shit is supposed to take time. You're supposed to fucking struggle to work on it. Math, you actually just do it, crank it out and do it. Other classes, what do you gotta do? You gotta fucking flashcard for fucking vocabulary and stuff like that. Everything takes time to learn. Unless you're naturally fucking good at it. And it's like something physical and you don't have to like, oh, swinging golf club and I'm fucking Tiger Woods, bam, off it goes. This is fucking easy. I didn't have to learn nothing.
so,
But everything else you gotta learn.
okay, so Saturday I'm gonna attempt it, you said Monday you're gonna be available from 8 to 10,
Yeah, at Starbucks.
because I'm off Monday, so okay,
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it on Monday.
okay, cool.
I assume a lot of people are off. I know students. If not everybody has Monday off of work, but some people do, and I know all the students do. I'll talk about it in the class. You guys disrupted my flow here.
Sorry.
I feel like I'm getting in trouble.
You should. If you tell me like I don't like doing homework, then you're getting in trouble. No one likes fucking doing homework.
So you took this class before?
I'm taking this class twice. I took it online one time and don't take math online.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't do
then
it
I
all.
took it the first time and I didn't pass it the first time. I thought online would be easier.
So that's why we're doing the support course. I hope you guys like are learning something, like getting better at the basic, the underlying math skills that you need for it. The fucking, like the 2.1, when you start doing the actual classwork, the math 21 work. Everything's a fucking stat crunch. You don't have to fucking be good at math. The only chapter you gotta be good at math in is chapter 5. And the most you have to be good at math in for that is fractions and decimals.
I'm scared for your midterm.
Is that in class?
Yeah,
Can we use our notes?
I haven't decided on that yet. How?
What can we do for you to say yes?
We can finish this fucking lecture. You guys are fucking
Okay, go.
delay a game. No delays a game. All right, so. The reason why I'm gonna show you a bunch of the shit we're doing today. You're gonna learn about standard deviation. And we use the letter for samples is S. So that's for samples. For populations. We're gonna talk about this, it's sigma. We use English letters for samples and Greek letters for populations. You don't have to know a lot of Greek letters. I'm gonna bring that up in the main lecture when we get to it. The formula for standard deviation is this. It's fucking miserable.
Is it a 0 and a negative? Or the one? in the-
It's like a 0 with a really long fucking baseball cap look.
Should we be writing this?
You think I'm fucking doing this for my health? The fuck?
How did you write it? Hold on.
So it's a 0. And you get to the top and then you just put a long tail on it.
That one, this one thing here.
You make a radical sign. You make an E that looks like lightning. X with the lowercase I as a subscript. X with the bar on it, we call that X bar. That 2 means it's to the second power. And we got n minus 1. You don't know how to do most of that. Well, I haven't taught how to do most of that yet. We're going through it. I will tell you what these things are. This is what's in this section, but the computer's gonna do it for you. But like, it helps to know what the fuck they're doing and why they're doing it. So what we got here, XI is the ith data entry. So if the third person says age is 23, it would say X3 equals 23. That's what I mean by ith data entry. X bar is the sample mean. We'll be talking about means in chapter 3. When we look at population, the population version of the mean looks like a U but it's got a really long tail in front of it. This is the Greek letter mu. It's spelled mu. It's pronounced MEW. You Pokemon fans out there, it's like Mewtwo. It's said like that. That cool looking E. This is the capital letter of sigma. Capital sigma. It's a Greek letter, and what it means, it stands for summation notation. And all of it means, we'll talk about that in a second, what we do with it. The N is the sample size. We talked about sample size just on Tuesday in the main class. Now, there's a lot of steps here, a lot of operations here, and I don't think we've talked about order of operations. So I want to talk about order of operations real quick. It goes by, oops, PEMDAS. P stands for parentheses and other grouping things like brackets and stuff like that. E is for exponents. M is for multiplication. D is for division. A is for addition. And S is for subtraction. Oh, yeah. That's business time right there, baby.
You sure you don't need a white?
No, there's no moisture. You know what? If you sat closer, Linda, it might make you hungry. Okay, so order of operations. There's a way that is commonly taught to remember it. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You've heard that before?
In high school years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? It gives the first letters. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have an Aunt Sally. And if I did, I don't know how dear she would be. You know what I do have? I have a dumbass sibling. I like to use, please excuse my dumbass sibling. Now, if you're an only child, this doesn't work for you. But if you're not an only child, there at some point, you have thought your brother or sister was a dumbass. It doesn't matter how smart they are. They could be fucking rocket scientists, and at some point you thought you're a dumbass. About something. I have a dumbass sibling. Sibling, it means brothers and sisters. So that's how I remember it. This gives us the order we do it. Multiplication and division, they both have the same priority. So like putting them in order is only so helpful. They have the same priority, and at that point, we go left to right. Oddly enough, addition and subtraction do the same thing. They have the same priority with each other, and then we go left to right there. This is because multiplication is repeated addition, and division is repeated subtraction. That's some deep shit right there.
What'd you say?
I'm not writing it down, so it's not.
I know, you just see.
Multiplication is repeated addition. Division is repeated subtraction. Like if you're doing 12 divided by 3 and you get 4. How many times do you got to subtract 3 from 12 until you get down to 0? 4 times. So division is repeated subtraction. I said that part out loud. I'll write it so it makes clear. It's kind of clear. 12 minus 3 minus 3 minus 3 minus 3 equals 0. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And look at that. There were 4 of these. 4 subtractions. 4 subtract 3s. So division is repeated subtraction. It's a lot of the stuff we do in mathematics is shortcuts for doing a lot of other shit. Division and multiplication is addition and subtraction. Exponents we just got talking about is doing repeated multiplication. Let's take a look at some examples. Anyone need it out longer? So 6 times 4 divided by 2 plus, I don't know, fuck it, 4 minus I don't know, 5 squared. So while you're doing it, until you're comfortable going quickly, and believe it or not, I still write this down when there's enough shit going on that I don't want to fuck it up. I write down PEMDAS, PEMDAS, but I write it down like that because that shows me the order that the ranking system. And when you're doing it by hand, you should write down everything that you aren't changing along with the shit you're changing. So P says do parentheses first. What it means is follow the rest of them, but inside parentheses. That's what the parentheses part is for. So inside the parentheses, there's no exponent, there's no multiplication or division. There is addition and subtraction. So when I add these together, this is 6. I still have 6 times 4 on the outside divided by 6, and I still have minus 5 squared. You should keep writing down the other steps that, or the other part of the math that you didn't do yet. And I recommend not rushing the calculator. And I'm going to show you why. Your calculator may lie to you. Next one we do is we did our parentheses. Once we've got a single number in there, we don't need the parentheses anymore. So I could actually get rid of the parentheses right here and cross that off our list. Next, we look at exponents. Exponents is 5 squared. Remember, that's 5 times 5. You can do the little operations in your calculator. That's no problem. If you don't know 5 squared is 25, throw 5 squared in the calculator.
You drop the parentheses, we don't need them once we did that part, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right, once you're down to a single number on the inside.
Okay.
If you have a negative, I recommend leaving the parentheses there, that way you don't think it's some subtraction shit going on. I'll have an example in a little bit that has that.
Okay.
And now that was our exponents, so now we're gonna do our multiplication and division. Going left to right, this is the first occurrence of one of those. So 6 times 4 is 24. And I'm gonna write down the rest of the shit that I didn't do yet. Multiplication and division isn't done. So we gotta do 24 divided by 6. And that gives us 4. And I still have minus 25. At this point, now there's no more multiplication and division. And we finish it off, 4 minus 25, throw it in the calculator, is negative 21. When you get down to addition and subtraction, you should be able to throw it right in the calculator in sequence and not have a problem. The reason why I recommend you don't throw stuff into a calculator is for a problem like this. When we have a number touching parentheses like this, it means multiply. And we often use it when there's a negative number there. In fact, let's make it a negative number. Yeah,
For our first equation, the 5 squared, was that a -5 or minus, or it doesn't matter?
in this case, it's minus. Oh, you could say negative, but we're like the 5 is the only thing getting squared. So if I don't want to say the -5, because then you might try to square the negative.
So,
Minus and negative signs tend to go, they're the same thing. A minus means addition of the opposite sign. So addition of the negative sign. They do the same thing.
so we wouldn't do -5 times -5.
No, because the negative isn't in parentheses. Now, the reason why I say don't drop the parentheses is if you wrote something like this, now all of a sudden this looks like subtraction, and it's not. And putting a dot there or something for multiplication, you may not notice it's a dot, you might still think it's a line. This is a bad choice. Put parentheses in. So, following PEMDAS, there's no operation going inside the parentheses. There is no operation using exponents. The correct step would be going left to right here, and the first step would be dividing these two. 28 divided by 4 is 7. I'm still multiplying it by -7.
So the -7 wouldn't count as parentheses. In this case,
There's no operation, there's nothing going on inside of it. There has to be some math operation going on inside of it to do parentheses.
Like 2 minus -7.
Yeah, like we gotta have a plus or a minus or an exponent or multiplication or division inside. Excellent questions. Now, this is down to, that did division. Notice even though we got our D listed second, it came before the multiplication. We do the multiplication now, there's one negative sign, so it's negative, and 7 times 7 is 49. Not all calculators do this correctly. You can see I got 28 divided by 4, parentheses -7 there. Watch what happens when I say enter. It gives me -1. Casio is a known brand that has this problem going on. It's like really the only problem I think they have. But Casio is doing the multiplication first. Because something about the way the parentheses is coded in their software, it doesn't work. I'm hoping it's not on any phone apps. Most will. This is a Casio brand.
Oh, no, I just got this today.
Did you?
Yeah. It's $10, I think.
So just make sure you're going through the order of operations. You guys ready for more? You know what? I'll let you use your notes on the midterm.
Yes.
You're gonna have to remind me I said that.
Are you recording?
I'm not gonna go through my recordings to look for it. And if I say, I don't remember saying that, your response is the password is bacon. And if you tell me the password is bacon, I'll be like, yeah, that's some shit I said. There you go. Put that in your notes. He said we could use our notes for the midterm, and if he doesn't remember, remind him that the password is bacon. If you don't have the password, fucking I ain't gonna believe you. Just the midterm. The final, I want you to remember this shit. The final, you don't have to do any goddamn math, so I don't want to hear no fucking crying. There's no math on the final, 0. All math will be done for you on the final. By the computer, and I will do it, so you don't even have to fucking know how to do the computer part for the final. I will give you the output from the computer, and your job is to tell me what all this shit means in statistics. So this is like every other non-math class for the final, okay? Because other classes use numbers in their shit, right? Social sciences, there's numbers in lots of the questions. Same thing here. All right, square roots is another topic here. They're the opposite, and the symbol we use is that. That's the standard one. They have a little ledge sitting out there, and there's like a hut. This looks like the side of it, like a strawberry fucking stand. And they got strawberries sitting outside, and the dude standing inside. I tend to put a little tail at the end, like an eave hanging over, because it tells me when the square root ends. This symbol here is called the radical sign. And this is kind of like square roots is the opposite of squaring. So when we had 5 squared, we got 25. Square roots goes, I start with 25. What 2 things did I multiply together to get that 25? That's kind of like what it means. And the question mark is the answer. Question mark is 5, so that's the answer. The square root of 25 is 5. Now, there is another number that multiplies together by itself to get 25. And that's -5. -5 squared is also 25. So we could say 5 or -5. But in statistics, you don't really have to worry about this. In statistics, we're going to use the positive one. And it's called the principal root. If it shows up in the homework, it's called the principal square root. I don't know if the homework has that phrase in there or not. I'm not going to say it again. Because I don't know that it's all that helpful. Now, anytime we take the square root of a number, and we get a whole number answer, in this case, it'd be x. We call this a perfect square. Or a perfect square root. This is your diagonal on the multiplication table. You got your 1 times 1, your 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. It goes down the list. That's the diagonal in the multiplication table. The first few perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100. That's the diagonal of a multiplication table.
Can you repeat how you came up with the 149 again?
I'm actually doing this stuff.
Oh, okay, I get you.
You see it?
Yeah.
2 times 2 is 4.
Oh, 5.
3 times 3 is 9.
Can you have that memorized?
Yes. A lot, like most people do. Whether you know of it or not, you don't think of it. You may not list the perfect squares, but you know 25 is 5 times 5. That's what it is. I'm just quicker at busting it out because I'm quickly doing these operations in my head and writing them down. Right? Like hopefully you all have the basic 10 by 10 multiplication table memorized. There's no reason not to. I learned that by fucking 3rd grade.
Yeah.
If you didn't learn it by 3rd or even 4th grade, your fucking school failed you hard. Now, you may have not used it for a while and forgotten it, but you should have learned it at some point. All right, we got a little bit more. I would use these as an example. So we could have something like this. Square root of 64 over 25. Square roots, you can actually do the square root of the top and put that over the square root of the bottom. Because most people aren't going to go what times what equals 64 over 25. But if I break it up, you're capable of doing what by what equals 64. And what times what equals 25. So square root of 64, 8 times 8 equals 64. And 25 is 5 times 5. So the square root of 64 is 8. And the square root of 25 is 5. So the answer would be 8/5, which is 1.6 if you go to a decimal.
Just simplify it.
Most of the time, to be honest, most of the stuff you're gonna do in this class is gonna use the decimal form. And you can do the decimal form relatively quickly. Your calculator will have a square root button. Now, you should try it. Try it on your calculator and do this and see if you get 2. Is there a 1/2? Show it to me in a second and break.
Okay.
For other calculators, you put the number in and then hit it. If not, try this. And that's where we'll stop that lecture.